Welcome to the Angler Talk Podcast with Chris and Aaron. Brought to you by FishingMagicianTV.com.
What is up, everybody? It's Chris and Aaron here again with another weekly episode of Angler Talk. How we going, brother?
Good, buddy. Good, man. Florida, like we spoke about last week episode, it's getting better, man. It's slowly heating up. Sea trout's being, more plentiful in the river. The friggin' snook are on the move. We had a little bit of lapse in the wind, so I was able to get out, a little bit on headwaters, and then a little bit out of the inlet, a little out of the inlet there with the 16-footer. So, I mean, we're getting there. Florida's looking up right now.
Oh, absolutely, man. Any snook for you under the belt lately?
Yeah, there was one at the inlet the other night. It was kind of weird. I got there half an hour before the tide that I usually like, which you know what that is. We have that small window. And just because I was a little extra lazy and didn't want to get up at the time I knew I needed to, I missed the bite by like literally a half an hour. So I get down on the rocks, I start fishing. It was fire for 5 to 10, maybe 15 minutes. And then the waves started rolling in from the opposite side. Wind picked up, seaweed picked up, and I was just over it, dude.
Yeah, you know how I feel about those snook, man. I call them princess fish. It's like if everything isn't perfect, the tide, the current, everything, they don't bite, man. They shut down. It's terrible. I mean, but up here in Jersey, man, the stripers are still going at it. I'm seeing a lot of posts from my captain buddies. Are still catching a lot of stripers. The big girls are still not here, but very early, somebody this week already caught one of those little yellow-eyed devils. Mm-hmm. They're showing up kind of early. The bluefish are starting to roll in. Fluke season's already open. I've seen quite a nice pictures of fluke online, and it's been good, man. Raritan Bay is doing this thing in South Jersey. The fishing's on fire in Jersey for sure.
Oh yeah. I got a couple friends that are down there in the Delaware and even in Brigantine. Brigantine's starting to pick up. Guys are picking bass off the beach already. Riptide bait and tackle over there in Brigantine's doing things. The guy in AC's doing things. And then, like I said earlier in the season, the Delaware was like, there was these couple spots that I called the DBA. It's like this little neighborhood along the Delaware, and I'm telling you, Chris, it's one of them spots. It's either on this year and off next year. It's never on consecutively throughout the years, right? This year was friggin' on fire, dude. There was a couple 50s pulled out of there, and these are all like post-spawn big females. Go up there early in the season, they spawn out, they come back out, and if you're lucky enough to get them, dude, and they're hungry, they got them, and they got a couple of them out of there.
Yeah, man, it's a little embarrassing for me to say this, practically living in Jersey my entire life, and, I've never fished Delaware. I mean, I'm so spoiled with Raritan Bay striper run. There was no need for me to go down there, but I mean, I've heard stories about the Delaware River, and it's a phenomenal fishery, But let's not keep the people waiting too long. This week we have a special guest, Jeff Bell, the Florida fishing mate. And I hope you guys enjoyed this interview. He gets to talk about his business some and how the fishery is in Florida. But before we get to that, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. If you have any input or anybody you want to see in the show, leave a comment. Let us know. And that will help other fishermen find us. So, guys, enjoy this interview. And here we are with Jeff Bell, the Florida fishing mate. How we doing, brother?
Good. Thanks for having me tonight. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Cool. How's the fishing in Florida going?
It's been a lot of years of hard work, but at this point, I'm really lucky, and I'm really doing well. So it's been a long way to get here, but I'm appreciative. I try to stay humble and definitely appreciate the support I have. So things are good.
That's awesome, man. I mean, I've been following you for I think close to about 2 years now on Instagram, and you got an interesting business, and it's pretty cool. So how did the idea and the concept come up for this?
Well, you know what I'll do? I'll be brutally honest. That's always fun, right?
Yeah.
So, I was always in the corporate world, and I was in the mortgage business for a long time. Always in a cubicle, and I've always loved fishing. I mean, since I was a kid, I moved out here from New York City when I was 10 years old, and right away I was obsessed with fishing. I used to have my mother bring me to the party boats. There was back then it was like $15. I think it was the Helen-S and the Fish City Pride up in Pompano, and I would drop me off every weekend. And back then we would go out and we would catch. I mean, back then it was different. We'd go out and catch more kingfish in an hour than you could ever want to catch, and your arm would hurt, and you limit out every time. Things are a little bit different now, but I think I forgot the question.
Yeah. No, say how did the concept for the Florida fishing mate business come around?
always obsessed with fishing. Ended up in the corporate world for a long time. I had a classic Mako. I had a 1986 Mako 254. That was my baby. I was doing really well money wise, and then the mortgage industry we all remember collapsed. 2009, 10, 11, whatever that was, and I went completely broke. And I sold my Mako, and I was kind of at a crossroads. I was kind of over the office work stuff, and pretty much all I had left was like my fishing rods and the stuff in my boat, but I actually had to sell my boat, which is one of the most painful things I ever had to do, because if you're a Mako fan, you know those 86 254s were unbelievable.
Oh, yeah, man. They last forever.
Oh, yeah, and I was kind of at a crossroads in my life, and I was like, you know what? I know how to fish. I'm gonna be brutally honest on this interview. I know how to fish. I wasn't a professional. I have a marketing background. I owned a mortgage company, and I was like, maybe I could, try fishing for a living. And which is completely the opposite. I've never worked like that physically. I was always like an office guy, but and that was a little scary in the beginning. So what I did, I just put an ad up on Craigslist, and I was like, first of all, I kind of surveyed the market. I was like, what's not being done here? And I know there's charters, and I know there's guides. And I was like, what if I stepped it up a little bit and was like a guide that actually brought everything to your boat and, kind of added on to that, beefed it up a little bit. So kind of a full service kind of thing. And I just did a test, I just did a test on Craigslist. I put fishing on your boat. I bring all the gear, blah, blah, blah. And I got some calls. And I was like, wow, when you put up an ad for free and you get some calls, there might be something there. And then, I kind of, some of the old timers now that I've become very good friends with say I kind of faked it till I made it. And I'll tell you honestly, I did. And I think the first thing I did, we caught nothing at all. And I had no idea what I was doing. But I think I presented myself good. I really had no idea what I was doing. That was about 7, 8, 9 years ago. And it was hard work, but I love fishing, and I try to remain teachable to this day. And I really tried, to learn, and over time I got a little better and made better relationships. And I really, in this industry, believe, with any industry, you can make alliances, you do the right thing over time, eventually it'll pay off. And I used to charge like $300 for everything, and I would go all day, and I'd bring the bait. And I wasn't really making that much money, but I was really putting in the work and learning. And over time, I actually got surrounded by some people that were like wanting to help me. Some older guys that one guy, Eddie Cerrucho, who's a legend to me, called me up one day and said, "Listen, kid, I see what you're doing and you're working really hard. Let me teach you some stuff." And that was the beginning of that relationship. And over the years, I've almost everything I do now, I was taught by people that surrounded me and helped me and guided me. And it's nice nowadays to know that there's still people like that,
Yeah, absolutely, man. I mean, it's an industry it's probably an industry first, but you're in a location in Florida where it is a tourist destination, and it's probably one of the best fishing places in the country. And for a lot of people that go there on vacation and stuff like that, and a lot of people bring their boats, they don't really know the area, they don't know what to use. So your thing actually works for them, because they get to enjoy the experience of being on their own boat, but still learning everything in the process like they would on a charter. And I think that's freaking awesome.
I appreciate it. Also, even I traveled from Jupiter all the way down to Marathon, and for the 2, 3, 4 years, like I said, I was kind of faking it till I made it. But I learned this spot, I learned that spot, I learned this little area. And one little niche I am kind of proud of is that I'm not like the absolute master of one area, but from Jupiter, I'm knowledgeable in all those areas. And I've learned that through a lot of charters, through a lot of mistakes and learning, and also, just dialing stuff in. And now I can, comfortably say I can fish, from Jupiter to Marathon. And over the years, I've learned the inlets and the wrecks and the areas and the zones.
Well, you know what? I feel like you kind of took the approach at this business as I would take my approach at fishing, man. I mean, you gotta kind of almost fake it till you make it when it comes to learning anything new in the fishing industry. I mean, you go to target a certain species like snook or redfish, and you've been bass fishing your entire life. Like, if you're not digging into, the local knowledge or, having friends that do it on a day-to-day basis, you literally have to go out there and try. And that's what you did. And I mean, kudos to you, man, because I love what's going on. Can you do me a favor and walk the listeners through like what a day consists on the water with you? So kind of give it right from the rip if, you're pulling up to their boat or, just right from the start.
Absolutely. So depending on where I'm working, if it's marathon, I'm usually up at 4:45 in the morning. If it's Miami, right down the street, it's about 6:30. I have a 2011 Chevy HHR. It's my second one. It's like the greatest car for what I do because I have it rigged up in a way it's ridiculous. I have a live on an inverter with a 10-gallon bucket, which is hard to find, with hoses. And then I have all the rods set a certain way, and my tackle box is like a plastic Stanley work box. But over the years, I realized that this particular plastic 3-level work box doesn't rust because it's plastic. Plastic. All little stuff I've learned over the years, and I drill holes at all 3 levels so the water will come through. And these are all from mistakes. This is from buying the crappy tackle box that rusted out. Then the other one. Over the years, I tweaked little things. So I have this little system set up. And even my rods, they make these $5 rod straps. They're Velcro. And you can take 6 spinning rods and Velcro them together. They neatly all come in and come out at the same time. Back in like a tangled mess. So it's little tweaks over the years. So I'll wake up. I have a bait freezer in my house. The guys at Bait Masters are great friends of mine, and they hook me up with bait. So I take usually rigged ballyhoo and frozen ballyhoo, put it in my cooler, have a cup of coffee. It's usually dark out. Walk to my car that's already loaded down, that I pre-rigged everything the day before. All the flat lines are set. As much pre-rigging as I can get done. I put it in the car, and I take off. Usually, if I'm heading south, and I would say 60 to 70% of my key trips are in the Keys. Perfect for like tourists because they rent a boat, they have nothing. I show up with all the equipment, the live bait, the frozen bait, everything. So if I'm going, I usually make it to Florida City, stop at the racetrack there next to Jack's that we all know. I have a good friend, Ford and Chris in Key Largo. They're out all night bait fishing. I usually stop at their house in Key Largo, pick up pilchards and goggle eyes. I usually have at least 2 hours with these air pumps I have in the car. And if I'm going down a rod or a marathon, I'll show up with the frozen bait, the live bait in the back of the car, all the rods ready to go. If I'm lucky, the car's near the boat. If I'm not lucky, it's 600 feet away. I take everything out of the car, every rod, all my gear, my tackle box, which weighs 85 pounds. I get everything onto the boat. And usually I'll tell the customer they'll help me. I'll say, put the rods in the corner. And I take my cooler. My cooler goes on the stern. That's my seat. I open up my tackle box. To my left is one half of it. To my right is another half. So now I have a little mini workstation on the back of the boat. Okay. I take all the rods. I put them away. And then we go fishing. So we just throw everything on and go, which is great. So we don't have to spend time bait fishing for an hour. Sometimes if you're casting bait, you get into it. All of a sudden, 2 hours goes by. You lose that.
Oh, yeah.
Go. I try to make it a good experience, So when customers ask me on the phone, how long do we go for? I tell them I don't care. Let's have a good day. I'm not like the guy that's going to be like, we got to get back right away. I want to have a good experience because a lot of my business is repeat business. We go all day. I'll give you an example. Once again, I'll bring up Eddie Cerrucho because I really look up to him. He's one of my mentors. He told me if you work your butt off all day, I'm working. More times than not, you're going to catch fish. I'm not going to sit here and say I don't get skunked. It happens once in a while, but if you do enough work, it pays off. And the other day, I had a wonderful husband and wife, and I'll give you an example of a hardworking day. And I was tired at the end of this day. We did 2 days together. The second day was the marathon. I did everything that we just talked about as far as showing up with all that pre-work done. I had 2 hours. We head out to the Hump, which is 23 miles offshore, which is a seamount off Marathon. I'm sure a lot of you know about. That's covered in tuna. We get out there. We get one nice skipjack. We get a bunch of big hammerhead sharks taking everything else. So I say, on tuna, let's get out of there. I talked to a good friend of mine, Mike Macco, who works for Two Conks. He's a great guy, great captain. He gave me a report on the Dolphin. The Dolphin were 35 miles out. So now we go from 23 miles out to 35 miles out. We slaughter the Dolphin. We limit out. Now at that point, I'm good, right? I can call it a day.
Right.
You know what, guys? If you want, let's go yellowtailing. And we ran 34 miles from there to the yellowtail spot west of Sombrero, and then we yellowtailed, and then it was just the greatest. We had a great day, and that was a good day. And you put in all that, we had a nice reward. When we come back, I get the pleasure of cleaning 15 dolphin, and bagging everything up. And I'd like to I like to clean the fish good, so I have a good knife. I bag everything up properly. Take my time. I do have a ritual. My ritual is when we get back to the dock, I load up my entire car, get everything ready to drive home, and then get a cup of coffee.
Yeah.
Back and I clean the fish. I get in the car and I head home. I used to be able to do that sometimes 4 or 5 days a week. That cannot happen anymore. Every time I try 4 days out, by the end of the third day, I'm done.
Yeah, it takes a toll on you. And I've seen pictures on your Instagram of that HHR, and it basically looks like a Bass Pro Shop on wheels.
I love it.
It's crazy. It's loaded to the gills with tackle and bait, and that's freaking awesome, man. So obviously, like you said, majority of your fishing excursions happen in the Keys. You said the farthest you go is marathon. Now, out of, just in case somebody were to say, you know what, I want to be in Key West, is that something that you're open to, or is that, the marathon is your line?
To be completely honest, I don't know how to fish Key West that well.
Yeah.
I've been enough. I don't want to fish until I make it anymore. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The areas I'm in, I know really well. I want to provide a good service. Another thing, I just want to bring something up that's a little just a little something different. A lot of people. This is kind of funny. A lot of people call me up and they're it's generally they think they're interviewing me on the phone.
Yeah,
I'm interviewing them.
exactly.
I got there's two guys that I think are funny. There's the 900-pound tuna guy that I always get, and there's always the guy that I didn't talk to. There's his friend that shows up. So like the 900-pound tuna, got one of those the other day. Guy calls me up. Hey, I'm Joe. I'm from New York. I got this. I got internationals. I got that. I got 80Ys. I got this. And I catch 900-pound tunas. And I say, listen, that's great. That's awesome. Have a nice day. It's nice talking to you. I went out with a couple of those guys, and it's always a nightmare. Generally, my customers are the same personality, and they're wonderful people. But once in a while, I say once out of every 20 charters, I get the guy's friend that shows up, and will take over of the charter, and that's always an interesting scenario.
Especially if you're working as hard as you say you are, bringing all the gear, supplying everything, and then this guy's no, listen, stay back there. I know they're over here under the birds. We just have to run through everybody's boat. Like, no, I get that feeling, man.
Yeah, I've learned a couple lines over the year. If I get a bunch of dudes on the boat, right? Yeah. What's going on? I always say, okay, who's the yeah guy? And they're like, what do you mean? Yeah. Like, I said, the guy that I'm going to, show you how to do something. And you go, yeah. I got this. And then you're going to mess it up. And you're going to get mad at me for telling you what to do.
Right.
And of course, every time I say that, I swear to you, one of the guys goes, yeah.
That's great, man. I mean, yeah, there's always that guy who thinks he knows everything, I see a lot of these dudes on like Facebook and stuff. They're always trying to tell you how to do this, how to do that. And it's just like, okay, that's great, man. But, I want to stick to what I know. But there's also guys who have an open mind and are willing to listen. Okay, hey, I'm from Jersey. I'm fishing in Florida. Okay, it's a little bit different down here. I mean, fishing is fishing. The concept is always the same no matter where you go. But there are different techniques that work in different areas that, so if I'm going to go down there and hire you for the day, I'm going to keep my mouth shut and listen and try the best to fill up my cooler. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you this, when I came in, I do have a marketing background, and I kind of looked at the playing field, and I'm like, what's not being done here? And when I first came in to do this, I was like trying to get into like the A league or whatever. So I was like all about getting the meat on the boat. How many fish can you catch? And slowly, and I've humbled myself and I've checked my ego, and I realized like fishing's fun, man. It's very fun. I really have my role now. Like I understand my role. My role is family friendly fishing. That doesn't mean we can't catch 10 sailfish or 5 muttons or slaughter it. But I'm a fan guy. I love taking out kids. And if you look at my Instagram page, I put funny stuff up. I went to stop and did a whole segment on how to catch a wahoo with a Disney rod, like just like the wrong way,
Right.
Some of these guys need to chill out, with their quad muscles and their dirty looks. It's like the new high in Florida is this,
Yeah, it's ridiculous, man. I mean, you got these guys who look like they're trying to like freaking apply for a photo shoot to like, freaking steroids meets a fishing rod. And it's just like, dude, smile, bro. You just got a really nice fish. Smile, dude.
But no, listen, to be honest with you, I'm an up and coming captain myself, right? And I look up to Chris. Chris has jumped that fence and obtained his captain's license, man. And I'm there, right? I'm this far away. The name of the charter, the inspiring charter business, boat that I'm trying to run is going to be called Family Affairs Charter, right? And that's literally my entire mind state behind that. I have a young one, 13 years old. My lady loves to be on the water, so does the little one. So I see the enjoyment that I bring when I get them out there, seeing the dolphins, the manatees. I know that I could bring that to other families, and I know that they will value that, not only being able to catch a huge fish, 900-pound tuna, right? But to be able to go out there and catch a bunch of small, snappers and, not keep one thing, but bounce around to the islands and to know about, the seagrass and how the manatees feed and, where the dolphins are running. And again, I feel like they get so much more of an education going out with you, to where they're almost confident that, these are boat owners, so they're almost more confident going out by themselves with their wife and kids the next time leaving you, than if they never had you on the boat in the first time.
My greatest joy now at this stage of my career is putting an 8-year-old on like a big mountain and look on his face. And another thing I've learned, I asked my customer, like, I want to make my customer happy. Now, I have a customer with a 41 Blackwater with quads, who's one of my regulars, who's awesome, and the boat's awesome, and the guy likes to catch sharks.
Hey,
right. So,
hey,
they could be like, "What's wrong with you? Shark." If he wants to catch a shark, you know what? We'll catch a shark. So I have 2 bonitas saved for him in the freezer, and we'll catch a shark, and he'll be happy. I want to memories at this point. I want to have a little bit of a legacy like that. I don't need to, I'm not the meat guy anymore, and it's a good, it's cool. So.
Yeah, absolutely, man. There's always the people that want the sport fishing, and sport fishing is great. Don't get me wrong, but like, if I can have constant action all day long, I don't mind catching muttons and yellowtails. Number one, they taste good. They're not the biggest fish in the ocean, but they still put up a little fight, and they're fun to catch.
Absolutely.
So, my question to you now is, if I called you and said, "Hey, man, just me and you, we're gonna go fishing as friends," what do you want to target?
No, that's such a good question. That's a good one. So this is going to sound weird. My favorite thing to do is in the winter Spanish mackerel fish in Florida Bay.
Okay.
It's so I got a spot 14 miles off Aquacut Marathon. You go out there in the winter. You anchor up in 12 feet of water. You put chum in the water. These macks are so ferocious that you put a floater, 80-pound leader, and a long shank hook with like a dead or light bait, float it back, and it's just boom, 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 and they're running all around, and they're like 5-7 pounders, and I enjoy that. For me personally, fun. I know Spanish macks aren't the most amazing fish in the ocean, but if you treat them properly, they're good, and it's just something I enjoy. But at the same time, catching a huge mutton, there's an art form to that. That regular bunnies are one thing, but I was taught. Some of the best, those muttons, and I'll give it away right now. It's no problem. A big mutton is smart, so when they see a sinker, they get spooked.
Yeah.
So I dropped down a 2-pound bank sinker at a 70-foot leader to a 7-0 hook. So there's 70 feet between that sinker and that hook. So when the sinker comes by, that big mutton gets spooked. Enough time goes by where they relax and they don't associate the two together. And I would never, that was taught to me, and it works amazingly. So getting like a big mutton, like a big one, a slob, to me, that's way also. That's kind of, I love that.
So when you moved, I have to ask, when you said you've been in Florida for 30 plus now, right?
Yeah.
So before you moved, what area was that? Did you do any kind of fishing at all? I know you said you had the marketing and mortgage background, and you worked in the corporate industry, but did you get out on the weekends and fish much? You said you had the boat, or?
Yeah. So I was 10 years old. I moved down in 85 to South. Yeah. And then ever since then, I was obsessed. I always say fishing's an obsession. You either have it or you don't.
Yeah.
And people that don't like to fish, I get it. You don't like it. But people that like to fish usually don't like to fish. They're obsessed,
Yeah.
I had that obsession as a young boy, so I was always on the party boats and then fishing any way I could. When I was in the mortgage business, I had that Mako that I talked about, and that was a personal thing. And I would take the boat out and fish and stuff. But also like the fishery in Miami, unfortunately, like even 5 years ago, it was really good, and the last 2 years, it's really fished out. It's unfortunate. Like obviously the pelagics are moving through, but the bottom bites really, really tough. Now I take people if they're cool with it, I'll take them down to Caesars Creek or North Largo for better fishing. So it's definitely off Miami now. So,
gotcha. So to backtrack a little bit, I remember you said you're originally from New York, right? So you're a tri-state guy like us. I gotta ask you, did you ever fish for a tog, blackfish?
no, I was
No.
fishing when I was younger up there. When I went back to Connecticut for a few years and ended up fishing for some striper and stuff. I really have no knowledge of Northeast fishing. Yeah.
I asked that because there's always a debate between guys that I know that have moved from Jersey going down to Florida, and it's like, what fights harder, the blackfish or the grouper? There's some guys that say an 18-inch blackfish will make a 30-pound grouper look stupid, and then there's guys that say the blackfish isn't coming close to a grouper. So that's why I wanted to see if you had an opinion on that.
I will tell you though that I do feel we are so lucky here in South Florida with this fishery. I mean, you can go out on any day, and there are so many different ways to fish. I mean, from daytime yellowtailing, deep dropping for species. If there's mahi here, blackfins. We're really lucky. Because the Gulf Stream comes so close. I mean, the guys up in New York have to run out 80, 100 miles to get to the spot that we get 3 miles offshore. So we're blessed in that way. It's cool.
For sure. But I mean, Chris will tell you this. I'm not going to lie to you. If you would have spent more time up in Connecticut or even, New Jersey, New York, I'm getting a feel for who you are. I have a feeling that you would have doctored the hell out of that area, dude. You would have fell in love with it, man. I mean, you would have picked it apart between I know the fishery here in Florida is freaking amazing, but the Northeast has its own beauty. You know what I'm saying? Like between the blackfish, I mean, you got the sea bass, the porgy, the striper. I mean, and then you have the offshore game. I know it's a drive, but I have a feeling, man. Just talking to you a little bit, you would have freaking fell in love with it. I don't think you would have came to Florida.
I'm ready to go.
I hear you.
Well, what I don't understand is Aaron wants to come back to Jersey. That's one thing. That's a concept of his that I haven't been able to agree with or understand yet. But I get it. Jersey, we have some fish here that.
I was born in Sinai, but I actually grew up in Englewood Cliffs in Bergen County.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So my backyard for fishing is Raritan Bay. And when it comes to stripers, we're spoiled in that area because we always get the big 50-pounders. There are some 60s that get caught because they go up the Hudson to spawn. And the fishery in New Jersey, it's you got some cool species to catch, but then there's times where you're just like another one. What I enjoy about Florida fishing so much is that there is just 3 times the amount of species in Florida to catch than there is here in the tri-state. You know what I'm saying? And you told me your favorite thing to catch is Spanish mackerel, and I have caught one. Well, at least they called it a Cero. I'm not sure if there's a big difference there, but on light tackle, dude, that is one of the most funnest fights I've ever experienced. It was great, and it tasted damn good too. I can't deny that.
Even when we yellowtail, there's so many fish in play on the reef. The primary target. But I'll take a small yellowtail, cut the tail off, drop it next to the boat, and you just forget the rod. And all of a sudden, a big grouper takes that one, and you got groves, and you got triggers, and you never know what you're going to pull up. But even the Ceros on the surface will take pilchers, and muttons on the bottom. So that's why.
And you spoke about it before, the mutton snapper. The first fish I ever ate in Florida was a mutton snapper, and it was with the blackened seasoning. And let me tell you, man, I had a piece about that big, the size of a penny, and as soon as I put it on my tongue, it was like flavor just whacked you right in the face. It was probably one of the most delicious fish I've ever eaten in my life.
Scale the snappers, the smaller ones. If you scale them, and you just put sea salt on them and you fry them, the flavor that seeps through into the meat with the salt. It's just amazing. Even if you break the tail off of a yellowtail after you fry it, it literally tastes like a potato chip. If I put a potato chip and a yellowtail next to each other, they taste exactly the same.
Awesome.
Chris, we got guys down south here that every year look forward to the mullet run, and they do these mullet fries, dude. And they were talking about how the tails of the mullet taste just like tater chips. And I'm like, I don't know about, hey, listen, I'm from Jersey and all, dude, but it's going to be a hard pill to swallow if you eat mullet tail. You know what I mean?
Hey man, I mean, there's guys up here that eat shad.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure if Jeff's familiar with shad, but that's a very oily fish.
Okay.
And I'll pass. I've tried it, so I can say that I'll pass. With a good conscience because I've had it, and no thanks.
So
So
I do have to ask you about what is in the future for yourself and the business. Do you think you're gonna hire a couple other guys, another guy even to maybe pick up where you're putting down, or is it just gonna be kind of smooth sailing from here?
So that's a great question. So, I have a business background in my mind, and obviously, I thought of the business model, and obviously scaling it out, maybe franchise, maybe hiring up guys and getting a whole thing going. Unfortunately, it wouldn't work, because part of this is my personality. So and I really thought it out, and like it's not scalable. If it tried to do it, it'd be a total shit show. That's not
I
an
agree.
option. I'm getting kind of beat up. I'm 47. After it takes me after a couple of days, I usually spend a day in bed.
Right.
Back's hurting. I'm getting old, so something's gonna give. I'm not sure what it is. I kind of have faith that something's gonna give. Maybe this is the first time I've done an interview like this.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm able. I'm blessed enough and able to like pick and choose a little bit now. I can't really go on 23-foot boats anymore because of my back. I've developed some really nice, generous, regulars over the years. And the more and this is new for me. The more I kind of just go with the flow and trust things are going to work out, the more they do. And the more, the more overthink everything and do everything, it just becomes a mess.
Yep.
So everything is good. Life is good. I did buy a van, and I'm converting it into a camper.
Oh, you see, that's my idea right there.
The day the kids go back to school, I have the van next to the house. It's halfway done. I have it work. The day the kids go back to school for the first time in my career, I'm going to take a month off and travel the entire country with my girlfriend and just see all the places I've always wanted to see. Well, that's a gift. That's amazing.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That's freaking awesome, man. And just to revert back to what you said, I'm actually really happy. Most business owners, no matter what business it is, the first thing they're thinking about is expansion. And to hear you how genuine you want your business to stay, because you yourself are the product, and not putting your name in somebody else's hands is a phenomenal idea, and I'm glad that you're looking at it that way.
On a personal level, I mean, a little bit about my history. I have a crazy story. I'm not going to tell it here now, but I was a self-made multimillionaire. I had all that stuff for a long time. So that's not my priority in life now. I had it. I lost it. Was I completely happy? No. When I had all those things. I was always taught, you're supposed to make $1 million and this and that. I did it, and I lived on Brickell, and I had the $150,000 Mercedes for many years, for over a decade. I lived in the penthouse. And I that part of my life, I can check that box. My legacy now is to create memories for families. I really, which is cool.
That's amazing to hear, man. Really, it is.
Sure. And I was going to ask you, if you'd ever consider, with a guy with a flats boat, running the flats. I didn't know if you do anything inshore, but speaking of not wanting anything under 23, I can't see you running, a 16-foot action craft along Indian River over here. You know what I mean?
I'll tell you a story. So a few months ago, I got a guy that called me up, and he's like, "Listen, I got I think it was like a 20. It was like a 21. It was like a little. And he's like, I'm like, listen, I can't do it. But the guy was super nice. Like the guy was so nice. He's like, I totally understand, and it's okay. And after I got off the phone, I'm like, you know what? Let me call this guy back.
Yeah.
So, call this guy back. I'm like, listen, I never do this, but I got a real good vibe off you, and I really like your energy. I said, I'm going to come down and we're going to go fishing. So I went down. We're like offshore in this thing.
Oh man.
I'm an offshore guy. It's offshore or nothing. So we're off. I'm like sitting in the back corner, getting splashed in the face, like right next to the water. He's like going out. It's like a flats boat,
right?
We made it up there, and we got a you know how the story ends. We got a giant mutton, a huge age, and we just slaughtered it. I was so happy, and it was like, you got to humble yourself once in a while. I'm still, at the end of the day, I'm still obsessed. I cannot sit home for 4 days.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Even, I remember I was a little slow last year, and I put in a post up. If anybody wants to go fishing, I'll go for free.
Right.
give me half the fish, and the boat needs to be over a 32 or bigger.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
I agree. Anybody listening out there, I agree. So I'm on that.
And I got a bunch of calls, and I went down and we had a great day fishing. And the guy ended up giving me some money at the end. I really never even was about that, at all. I'm just become a big energy guy, big, good energy kind of vibe. The ego fishing, it's not fun,
Yeah.
I got wrapped up in a circle with some competitors, and it was like I got wrapped up in that I got that, and I'm much happier now. And like I said, I know my role.
Yeah.
A lot of friends in the industry. I do feel that I want to say this in the right way. I feel like I've got some like respect now, or like some like people like because when I came in, people were watching me work it, and now it's like I don't want to say I'm in the winner's circle. That sounds so douchey, but it's just nice to have.
Right.
Cool. Yeah.
Yeah. Being humble will definitely take you a long way, man. But another thing I wanted to bring up before we wrap this up is I've noticed on your Instagram page, and you do a lot of instructional videos, which is something that I think is cool because like you, I don't really promote it much, but I do take a lot of kids fishing, and I think that that's something that a lot of people can benefit from by following you. Is checking out the instructional videos. Is that something that you might want to do maybe more long term, as the body wears down?
Yeah. I mean, I do feel that this, hopefully this will maybe progress to something different, a little less body, but like. One thing about the fishermen I used to associate with, everything was secretive. Everything was like, don't tell him how to do this. And I was like, what? I'm going to give it away.
Right.
Yep.
Why not? Because so if you go to if you go to Florida Fishing Mate on Instagram and you go to my profile page, you'll see I spend time and put up videos on everything on how to catch mahi, how to catch kingfish, how to catch yellowtail. And you know what? When I did it, I was like, I wonder if this is going to help me or hurt me. I was just curious. I was going to do it anyway.
Yeah.
And people are so appreciative of that stuff,
Yeah, absolutely.
And it comes back. It comes instead of hiding everything, giving it away.
I agree. I didn't mean to cut you off, but listen, I 100% agree with you guys. And Chris, I'm sure I know what you're about to say. I mean, every video we do, we always ask if you guys have any questions or concerns or suggestions, please let us know, because we're in the same boat. I don't want you to have to take that hard road that you took, trying to like fake it and make it. If I can help it, I'm always there, man. Like, I love that you're humble enough to do that too, because I mean, I would hate you to fall down and bump your knees over something that I could have just easily put a hand out for,
And there's also been so many instances. I get a lot of direct messages. I answer every one of them. Hey, do you know where I can live bait in Key Largo? Call this guy. Do you know where I can? And that's people might say, "Oh, that's annoying," or no. You know what? By doing that, I can't tell you how many times 6 months later a guy booked me because I did that.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely, man. I mean, my background is selling, and I sell car parts, and there's a lot of times where I don't have it, and I'll send them to a competitor store, and that makes the person think, you know what? He was willing to send me to his competitor, and he bent over backwards to help me, so he's gonna come back. There's a phrase that I love to go by: one hand wash the other, and both wash the face. If everybody could think like that, this world would damn sure for sure be a better place.
Right. I completely agree. I couldn't agree with you more.
Gas would not be as high as it was for you today, Chris.
Oh yeah. I was talking to Aaron before we do this interview, man. My pocket is hurting pretty bad, man. $100.42 to fill up the gas tank today.
This van I bought takes 35 gallons.
Oh man, I've only got a 23-gallon tank.
I'll tell you what, to the younger listeners out there, I'll tell you this: that I put a lot of hard work in. I didn't lie, I didn't cheat, I didn't steal. I put a lot of hard work in. I did the right thing. I treated people correctly. I tried to be the nice guy and do the right thing. And this is one of those situations where it all came back to benefit me. So by doing the right thing happened. You don't have to do negative things to get ahead. You know what I'm saying?
That's right.
Absolutely, man. So just one more time for everybody listening, where can everybody find you? Instagram, website, and I'll link it down in the description below.
My website is floridafishingmate.com. Instagram is floridafishingmate. If you want to book me, just call me 786-218-3962. You can call or text anytime. And that's about all I got there. So that's my stuff.
You heard
all right, Jeff. Well, everybody, this is Jeff Bell.
Squares. My calendar is literally an old paper calendar. I try to fill in all the squares. I know that can't get deleted. So
yeah.
Yeah,
absolutely. You don't got to worry about it falling in the toilet or something.
get that spots.
All right, everybody. Well, this is Jeff Bell, the Florida Fishing Mate. Appreciate you coming on, brother.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it, guys.
All right. Oh man, it was great to hear from Jeff. Man, he seems like an extremely humble dude, a great guy, and just he has a real passion for what he does, man. I think he's awesome.
Yeah, I think that if you're a fisherman, you can only respect the passion that man has behind him. I mean, I feel like, Chris, if we were all in the same neighborhood, we would have been like really good friends, hanging out in the garage, talking about this man's 3-tier tackle box bait tank deal. Like, I would have been all over that thing, dude, putting double-sided sticky tape on stuff and bouncing ideas off him. And I mean, he's a really awesome guy, man.
I mean, and like we spoke about when we were talking to Jeff, man, that was no exaggeration about his car. I have seen a picture of his car and I zoomed in, dude. It really does look like a Bass Pro Shops on wheels. I mean, he has everything you can possibly need for a full day of fishing in there. I mean, it's just freaking awesome. The only thing I know that he's missing is an extreme bait tank.
I was literally thinking the same thing, dude. I was going to ask this man, hey, you ever hear of this company called Extreme Bait Tanks? You know, right here? And I mean, perfect fit for you, bro. They got all the sizes you need, all the air tank. I mean, I was going into the whole salesman pitch there for a minute, but then I was like, you know what? I'm going to let this man live in his glory with this 3-tier tackle box deal. I mean, he literally sounds like he's got it dialed in for what he needs, and that's awesome, man. You know, to hear some guy that has went through the rough spots and it had to just basically pick from the bottom up when it comes to the fishing game, and to see where he's at today, dude. I mean, it's humbling, and then to speak to the younger crowd, even more humbling, man.
Yeah, man. I mean, I think it's a good thing. You know, there's so many people that's secretive about spots. I mean, when it comes to the freshwater fishery, I understand that with the pressure that these fish get. But when we're in the ocean, man, and people are screaming spot burn or, you know, don't tell them this, don't tell them. I'm like, look, man, fish have tails, bro. They move.
Yeah, for sure. But, Chris, you know, to be honest with you, I feel two ways about that. So when I was younger and you were younger, I know you had to work for the intel you got, right? So you didn't go on Facebook, you didn't go on Instagram and just become an overnight success, right? So you actually had to put boots on the ground. You had to go out there and fish each tide. So I understand where the old timers are kind of getting frustrated, because they're like, you know, this kid is looking at Facebook, gets the reports, bang, he's out there and he's a one-night overnight success, when this guy literally had to fish every single tide, moon phase, and temperature to figure out the feeding strategy of the fish he's targeting. You know what I mean? So
yeah, I completely understand that, and I agree to an extent. But I'm the type of person that if you ask me something about something that I love to do, and you know what, if I can help you out, man, no problem. You know, it's not a big deal for me, man. So, you know, unfortunately, we're running out of time for this week's episode, man. I hope everybody enjoyed it, and please don't forget, smash that thumbs up button, hit that subscribe. You get a notification from us every week on Tuesday. We are out here with a new episode, and I hope you guys enjoy it. And once again, if you have any input, a question, leave a review. Tell us if you think that we suck. Tell us if you think that we're great. If there's anybody that you want to see, please leave a recommendation. We love to get them on the show and just talk fishing. This is what we love to do.
Hope you guys enjoy, guys. Get it.
All right, guys. He's Aaron. I'm Chris, and we're out. Tight lines.